Chapter 5 continued. After describing Karma Yoga, which actualizes Shakta Brahma, in the next 6 verses he describes Jnana Yoga, which accomplishes the actualization of Saura Brahma. Karma Yoga is a tool which, when followed as per the traditional practice in proper order, accomplishes the state of Brahma. Thus, this yogic tool leads to the attainment of Brahma. Therefore, it is considered an excellent yoga. A seeker in the field of yoga should look internally and externally with equanimity. What is it that he should see? There are several differences and similarities in the internal and external world which are in the nature of asat. One should look at them without paying attention to those differences. That is, one should look at the Atman, which is beyond those differences. How should he see that? Since the individual soul and supreme being are blamed to be dependent on Maya, different kinds of experiences happen. In reality, that is not its true state. Sat Atman is always complete and remains as it is. Just as the reflection of the sun in a vessel of water is not actually the presence of the sun in the water. Have we put the sun from the sky into the vessel? Is it that the sun in the sky has come into the water? No. Still, for an ignorant man, the sun in the water is different from the sun in the sky. But a wise man knows that the sun is located in its position in the cosmos. So, the sun in the water is merely a reflection. It is only an image. It's not the real sun. In the same way, one should contemplate on the Atman within, which is seen without any difference. One should know it. The feeling of several Atmans can be known as false only through this basis. One needs to understand that the true Atman is not like that. If one begins to doubt it, then it is like the reflection of the sun in water, which shakes due to the vibrations of the water. In the same way, because the body is a tool for everything, the individual soul also appears different internally and externally according to the vision. Then, how do we have an equal vision? The means for removal of this doubt are: when we see the reflection of the sun shaking and moving in the water, then we try to find the connection for that movement. Is the movement connected to the sun in the sky? Not at all. This is very clearly understood. Or else, if the water is sucked out, then does the sun also get sucked out? When there is no water, the reflection of the sun also goes away, but does the sun in the sky too go away? No. Similarly, in place of the complete absolute Atman, there can be neither any variety nor any connection. It is not true that one experiences happiness and sorrows because of the connection between the Deha and Dehi. The premise of being a part of the power is blame. That is the reason why appearance becomes possible. By giving up the essence of that blame, one should bring a harmonious connection to the absolute whole, life-giving Sat Atman. Changes in the aspect of change that become possible and which are experienced is that of the body. I, who am always a witness, am not affected by it at all. That which is linked to destiny, like anger, etc., are visible, but they are concomitant to the body. Therefore, remain established in a detached manner without any feeling of pride. In short, give up all the fears and doubts about merits and sins, and the journey of the body shall still go on according to one's destiny. There is no connection to me at all. Remaining in this attitude of balance is what is known as living in equanimity. What is the meaning of remaining established in one's Atman? The individual soul gets deluded by the 4 types of Deha, namely gross, subtle, causal and greater causal, and their 4 types of egos, and maintains a feeling of I and mine towards those material objects. Gets further deluded and begins to think of itself as happy or sorrowful. Leaving aside that delusion, giving up the many and the one, and going beyond all of them, is equanimity. What is the nature of the experience of a conscious spirit who has achieved this state? As stated above, after giving up belief in the Deha and Dehi, that means discarding the different types of consciousness, the seeker begins to look only at the Atman in a very balanced manner. Such a yogi is said to be a knower of yoga or a learned yogi. In the same way, it would be appropriate to know the sum and substance of the verses from the commentary of Srimad Ganesh Yogendra, the Yogendra Bhashya. From the sentence, Brahmatmaikya Bhavo Yoga, it is clear that the seeker's aim is to achieve oneness with the Brahma, who is the absolute glory of self-knowing of Tat Tvamasi. The yoga which is to be attained by the individual soul is endowed with touch, speech, mind, intellect, etc., is connected to Maya by giving up the fourfold types of Maya, which is the main tool. That will be accomplished by the strength of relying on the internal and external dualities. The reliance on the external tools is through Karma Yoga, while the reliance on the internal tools is through Sankhya Yoga, the philosophy of duality. The reliance on Sankhya Yoga consists of three types, namely Jnana Yoga, Sama Yoga, and Sahaja Yoga. The harmonious connection of Asat Brahma, which is the main support of names and forms, is accomplished by Karma Yoga, which is worthy of consideration and is philosophical. Then the sentence, Sankhya Krutva Yadur Varitam Tat Sankhyam, indicates that what is beyond names and forms, which are the tools of Jnana Yoga, define the characteristics of that which is beyond philosophy of duality. Therefore, that faith is called faith in the philosophy of duality. If it is equanimous vision, then it is due to faith in Jnana Yoga. If it is of equanimous intellect, then it is faith in Sama Yoga. And if it is of the witness state, then it is faith in Sahaja Yoga. It has to be accomplished through these three types of yogic spiritual practices in that serial order. In the practice of spiritual practice for attainment of Saura Brahma, how are we to know that one has attained equanimous vision? When we say equanimous vision, it definitely includes the seeing and consciousness of sight. Therefore, with a truthful and harmonious connection, the feeling of Asat gets awakened, and the determination of the connection to Asat relates to the feeling of Sat too. But if one has to attain the feeling of absolute Brahma, then it is beyond both Sat and Asat. The verses from Bhagavad Gita. Na asato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sat, ubhayorapi drushto, antastattva, nayostattva, darshibhihi. Clearly substantiates what has been said above. Just as it is said in this verse about Sama Yoga and Vaishnavi Yoga being beyond Sat and Asat, King Varenya too asks the same question. He says, just as you have described that the easiest way of entrance into complete yogic spiritual practice is through the path of duality, in the same way, please explain the path of Vaishnavi Yoga resulting in actualization of Samaswananda, enumerating the steps on the path of yoga. Sampariritya swarthebha indriyani vivekata sarvatra samata buddhihi sayogo bhupame mataha. In this 47th verse, Shri Gajanana Prabhu replies to this question with the verses, He Bhupa Vivekataha Indriyani Swartebhya Samparidatya Ya Sarvatra Samata Buddhi Same Mata Yoga. O King, keeping in mind the earlier two experiences of yoga, with the same power of discrimination, one should gather all the internal and external organs from their respective objects of attraction, and after dissolving all connections of the different sense organs from their objects of attraction, remain in a state without them and experience the strength therein. This is the state of balance of Samayoga that I connect with. In brief, with the practice of Karma Yoga, in an attitude of surrender to the divine, the causal matter gets dissolved, and then, through Jnana Yoga, which gives us equanimous vision, the conscious spirit melts away. To attain the state beyond causal matter and conscious spirit, one is expected to have an indifferent mind. This is the same as Vaishnava Yoga. The internal and external play of causal matter and conscious spirit goes on with the help of sense organs and organs of action. This occurs due to the gross and subtle organs of the body. One should completely give up that play. Asat Brahma, which is the support of names and forms, is always devoid of one or other kind of differences. There is an awareness of the form which should be understood as a defect. That which is devoid of all defects, the one and only absolute, with no awareness of any quality, such a Sat Brahma, which is an embodiment of knowledge, is also subject to defects because absoluteness and witness, indicative of incidental existence, are also illusory and have to be given up. Once again, the perception of Sat within the meaning in which it exists is totally opposite to each other and has contradictory qualities. Therefore, the question arises as to how they manage to carry on their play. Such a duality exists due to a third characteristic of being support to the power of authority. That is Vaishnavi power, which is Sama Brahma or the form of joy. There, neither Sat or Asat exist separately. That which lives happily with both of them is Samabhava. Therefore, it is known as equanimity or indifference. In the same manner, due to the firm, harmonious disposition of Yoga Sadbhava and Asadbhava automatically melt away. In short, since there is no defect, it is said to be blemishless. This is Brahma, which is the yoga of actualization. How can one achieve it is being mentioned in the following verses. The samaras which keeps both of them happy, being the origin, enlightens the dualities and the play begins. The root of Sat and Asat is Sama Brahma. Here the joyful nature of Maya is observed. This is known as Vaishnavi Maya. In reality, this joyful play has expectations and should be given up. The original Swananda is complete as it is. Their actions with expectations don't suit. If that happens, then one should understand that Sama Brahma has been actualized.